Our next speaker, who is fantastic and often undersells himself, although he's amazingly powerful. Greg will tell us how to overcome adversity using the power of Greg. Thank you. Help me welcome Greg to the stage.
When I was a kid, I loved to ride bikes. Yes, this is another story about me being a kid. I love to ride bikes and jump ramps. That's all I did in my free time. Ride bikes, jump ramps. And after many mostly successful ramp jumping attempts, I decided it was time to give my bike a tune-up. So I took it apart. Literally every part of it came off. It was just a frame. It was surprisingly easy to get it apart. Unfortunately, it was not surprisingly easy to put it back together. And after one short failed attempt, I abandoned that bike. But I still wanted to jump ramps. I had to find another bike. And I remembered that my sister, who no longer lived at home, had a bike in the shed in the backyard. So I went and got that bike. It was a big bike, almost as big as me. And I wheeled it around front, pumped up the tires, and I was going to get on it. And my dad yelled out the door, "Greg, the bike's too big for you." I said, "No, it's not. I can get on it." And he says, "You're not going to like what happens." I said, "What does he know?" He's an old man. And I couldn't get on it, but if I propped it against the front of my mom's car and then climbed up on the hood of the car and then climbed down onto the bike, I could get it. I couldn't sit on the seat and the handles and touch the pedals. I had to stand up and pedal. So I had to push myself off, and I rode it up and down the street a few times until I mastered it. Took 3 times to master it. I quickly came home and I built a ramp. This time, 2 cinder blocks, big bike, big ramp. And I got on the bike and I rode down to the end of the street and I pedaled my little heart as fast as I could to the ramp. I'm aiming straight to the ramp and bam! I hit it perfectly. My Fabio-like hair is fluttering in the wind. I feel like an eagle soaring. And I lean back just enough because I want my back tire to hit first. Because previous ramp jumping experience taught me the front tire hits first. I'm going to go over the handlebars. And I do. I lean back perfectly and the back tire hits. And then the front tire hits. It was perfect. But what I didn't anticipate was when the front tire hit, the momentum was too strong and my little feet got pushed off the pedal. And I did a split right on the cross member of the bike. And I fell. I crashed. I fell on my knees. I went straight to the fetal position. As I lay there, experiencing the worst pain I've ever experienced, I could hear the echo of my dad saying, "You won't like what's going to happen." He was right. I didn't like it at all. It was the most pain I've ever experienced. It felt like somebody took a sledgehammer and banged 2 golf balls up into my stomach. And I knew I couldn't tell anybody what happened because if I did, they were going to take away my ramp jumping side business. So I had to suck it up a little bit. I had to pretend like I was fine. But really I was in pain. I knew I had to give myself grace. I had to let my little body heal. And I did. I gave myself grace a couple of days until I could comfortably sit on a bike seat again. And as soon as I could, I got back on that bike. Because I was going to be resilient. I wasn't going to let that crash stop me. I got back on the bike and I went back and jumped that ramp perfectly. I landed it perfectly. I had mastered that bike. Only one calamity. And my brother saw me jump and he came running out and he says, "That was amazing. I want to try it." And as soon as he said that, my stomach hurt. I said, "Chris, you don't want to try it. You have no idea what could happen." From my pain, I got nuggets of empathy. I didn't want him to experience the pain that I had experienced. I saved him from that pain. Our pain breeds empathy. The stronger the pain, the more empathy we have. Now, as I look back on that bicycle calamity, I look back with gratitude. Gratitude that I had the opportunity to want to try to jump that bike. And I had the opportunity to crash and hurt myself. I learned grace. I learned resilience. I learned empathy. And I learned gratitude. Those are the tenets that I live by. Grace, resilience, empathy, and gratitude. If there was only an acronym we could use to describe those words, I wonder what it would be. How about Greg? Let's call it Greg. When we find ourselves in pain or our hearts are ripped out of our chest, just add a little Greg to your life. Who's Greg? That's the power of Greg. Man and company.
Thank you for making me laugh. That was wonderful. Please take a second to give Greg some feedback. Olivia, I love your vocals. Can you just be in the rest of my life, just surrounding? It would be a lot of judgment. You would judge me a lot every day. Not day night.
That's it.